Should a Christian woman marry a broke man? Or should a Christian man marry a broke woman? Or should you marry into a broke family? In this particular episode, we're going to look at it from a biblical perspective. We're going to look at what the Bible does say about the subject, or not as in teaching, but the lives that you see. The Bible doesn't teach whether you should marry a rich man or a poor man. The Bible just does speak about all these lives that we see. But I thought, let's put up a Bible viewpoint about this with examples from the Bible. And so, as a believer, we have standards. And those standards, maybe if you are watching this video and you're not a Christian, you might not understand those values, or you might have higher values even when you hear those. Everybody has their 2 cents to add to the bucket. I thought, let's go biblical. Let's go the Bible route. Should you as a woman marry a broke man? Or should you as a man marry a broke woman? Now, I'm going to use 5 examples to give an answer for what do you see in the Bible, and then we can take it on from there. And I think that will give us a little bit of a base. Now, if you're not a Christian, the values that we have as Christians might not be the same values, but we kind of hold the Bible in high esteem, so you will understand why I want to use the Bible for this discussion. It's the Rich Reality Show. We do daily Christian commentary videos on this particular channel. We do what is called Christian apologetics. We look at what the Bible says, and then we align it with what everybody else is saying. So, on this particular video, as I stated, 5 points. Let's start first off with the story of Jacob. Now, when you look at the story of Jacob in the Bible, was Jacob broke? Was he rich? Because man them didn't even have money for lobola, while he is in the process of pleasing the father of the lady that he was trying to get married to. And on top of that, after he was made to serve 7 years, for those that don't know, and after the 7 years, the father then made him to serve another 7 years for him to get his wife. Yeah, so he ended up serving 14 years. So if you have a job that pays you 10,000 rands and you're working 12 months, you can add that up to how much the lobola for the lady was, if you are to speak in those terms. So there is one example. She was going to marry a broke man, and he was marrying into a rich family, a family that had flock and sheep and all that kind of jazz. And after he had served this period, he was thinking. So if that's a personal decision for you to don't make it Bible. Example number 2. Let's go all the way to the Messiah. Mary and Joseph. Mary and Joseph were a broke couple. The two of them. Now these ones were already. The two of them were broke. They were so broke that Jesus they gave birth. Not at a fancy place, not at a wonderful hotel. No, they gave in with animals around. Yeah, at a crawl. That's how much. Because they went to an inn and they found that everything else was occupied, and the only thing that this man had was a place where they used to have animals, and that's where they thinking. So here is an example of a broke couple. Not just whether the man was broke or the woman was broke. Yeah, no, both of them were both broke to a point where they couldn't. Now, if those are not your values, they are not your values. But it's not Bible, okay? Remember to put them up as your own values. Second one, Ruth and Naomi. Now, you'll remember Ruth, she stuck by her mother-in-law. This is not even about her mother-in-law. Boaz married her when they were in struggle mode. So should you as a man marry a broke? There is your answer. You can have your own values. It's fine. You can choose your own. Fine. But there is an example of one who did. He married this woman, suffering with the mother-in-law, struggle, and he still took her on. Now another one was Solomon and Sheba, the Queen of Sheba. Remember the Queen of Sheba, when she heard about the fame of Solomon, she took up gold and silver and whatnot and all this stuff, and she went to think. So there you would have had a picture of a rich couple. So you have both. You have everything. You have broke men marrying broke females, and broke up. Like another example, Esther was married. And remember, Esther's family had issues. I think Mordecai, with her uncle Mordecai, she ended up marrying into the king's house. Right there, you have an entire family that is in struggle mode, but they are then covered by things. So this idea of whether you should marry a broke man or should a man marry a broke, really, it's people making their perspective Bible, and it's not. Okay, relax. Other people can marry who, yeah, you see those broke people, yeah, there are people that they will marry. And don't make it Bible also, because you yourself might change those standards. Now, after you've taught those standards to other people, and they carry those standards and until their late 40s, and then they realize, I think I have standards that don't really reflect where I am. And also, if you reflect these particular sentiments or viewpoints or whatnot out there on social media and stuff like that, do remember that those men that might be rich, that you might be trying to reach, they might look at these videos and this content and this post that you're making, and they'll be like, interesting, because which means if I get with you and I lose money, you're going. And I once heard one lady on one particular podcast being asked that question, and she openly said she would leave the man if the man became broke. And so there is no, you want the man to come in with love, but you don't give love. It's a very weird thing. You can have your own standards on this particular subject, but don't think of those standards as Bible. They're not like defining rules. They don't define all relationships. As you can see with the examples, Joseph and Mary should be a perfect example right there. They were both going through it. Mary was not there busy complaining about things. If she was, we are not told about it. And bear in mind, the subject matter of what they were there for was the core value. They were there to give birth to the king. And the king was born in poverty. No. Some people sell their souls just so that they can be rich to fit that standard. And say, oh, my kids are not going to suffer. Jesus was insulted his entire life for being the carpenter's son. It wasn't the greatest standard. But God did that intentionally to tell you something. But you can have your own values about it. But let's not make our viewpoints Bible. Your viewpoints are just your viewpoints. Broke men can marry broke women. Broke women can marry broke men. Or either ways, or vice versa, or whichever way. Once you have a standard, it becomes a very, very weird. It removes attraction, it removes bonding and stuff like that, and all that kind of jazz. And so, should a Christian marry a broke person? What's your standard? And those standards, what do you see when you look at the Bible? Jesus was not born into a rich family. So, but you were willing to receive Jesus. It's quite telling. It's quite telling. You received Jesus, who was not born into a rich family. And so, but if that's your standards, I absolutely understand. You're a Christian man, marry a broke woman. And that goes for the same with education and whatnot. Should you marry an uneducated person? Because then you can just keep adding to that list. Should you marry a person without a car? Should you even date a person without a car? Is bonding that happens between people, and that is beyond materialism. And so these might be your standards, but keep it at that. Keep it as your standards. And sometimes to make those statements out in the open, public and so forth, it might not help, because once you make those statements public, those people you're trying so hard to kind of get to, those rich people you're trying to reach, they might not find that attractive. They might not find that you wanting a rich person They might not find that attractive. Because they might think of that and say, excuse me, so which means what when I get broke? Because life happens. And it's ridiculous to think that life won't happen. You know, we've been against materialism for so long. If we make materialism the standard for a relationship, are we not the very same thing that we were defining? But anyways, I don't know. Those might be standards and stuff like that. But also, I want to just state it here. Not making this video because Ricky's failing to find a relationship, so he's trying to lower our standards. I couldn't care about your standards. Okay, I'm in a relationship myself, so relax. Yeah, you're not the one I'm trying to impress. Yeah, the person that I was trying to impress, I've done that. We good. So you can go on, you can relax now. Okay, you can calm down. I'm not trying to lower your standards or lower your values or whatever that is all about.